Jen, are you ready?
No.
Jen and I are both Filipino, which means that we are both related, and as such we naturally gravitated towards each other when choosing partners for a project that had us answering some questions about history, orally. Or maybe Jenna just picked me as her partner because she wanted to mooch off my hard work, which, if you just look at her, is probably exactly what she was thinking when she picked me. We both have common ground. We know people in the Philippines, which is exactly what we decided to do our project on. Particularly business in the Philippines, because everybody we seem to know has owned a business in the Philippines, like it's some kind of rule that you have to, I don't know. The Philippines is an archipelago country in the Southeast Asian region. The country can be described as one big power struggle from the beginning colonization until really now. Spanish colonization, British and Dutch invasions, to the eventual American takeover, the Philippines really has seen it all. In fact, it wasn't until July 4th, 1946 that the Philippines ever saw independence ever since the Spaniards' colonization. Time after they gained independence from America marked to be one of the most important times of Philippines history. We wanted to find more about our Filipino heritage, so Jen and I set out on our adventure to answer the question, how did businesses react to the change in this time, and what factors led them to be successful or unsuccessful? So we turned to two people who owned businesses during this contentious time, Adela Balayan and Levi Rago. Both of them owned small businesses in the Philippines, and they encountered the various changes in the Philippines and continued to experience to the end of the 1900s. Their stories have represented the hardships, but also the successes of many Filipinos and their businesses. At first, their businesses began slowly, but they gained success.
Easier for me. Somehow I'm a small businesswoman, not a big one, no? Single proprietorship. One-man business.
We finally started to open our own. That's the first time we opened up a business in Baclaran.
Through these humble beginnings, they began to expand further and further, and began to become more prosperous and gain a bit of wealth along the way.
I become expert in decorating cake. Our business became successful. We were able to buy a house, and my 3 children were able to graduate with their chosen career.
At this time, the Philippines was doing alright for itself. It was peaceful, not a lot of things were happening. But all that changed when Marcos arrived. The first 20 years of the new Philippine Republic were pretty uneventful. It wasn't until the 1960s when things began to pick up. In 1966, Ferdinand Marcos was elected as the 10th president of the Philippines. His first term involved a lot of infrastructure improving. But his second term was when things began to heat up. On September 21st, 1972, Marcos declared martial law across the nation. This was in response to a rising wave of lawlessness and the threat of a looming communist insurgency. Martial law lasted for a long 9 years. Martial law allowed him to jail and silence activists, political opponents, and anyone who disagreed with them. And in regular terms, that means that he killed them. That's how bad it got. Probably the worst part is the amount of corruption it left the Philippines in. So much so that it still affects the country today.
After the martial law, things began getting hard to have a business. People, or let's say some government officials and people become more corrupt, no? And that is not my line of thinking, to be corrupt.
Yeah.
So dealing with corrupt people is a little bit hard for me. So I'm staying on the, let's say, right side. People, especially those who has money, who has connections, who can corrupt people in the government, they are more powerful during the martial law. So people like me, who are not corrupt, has no dealings with government officials, a little bit hard for me.
The advent of big business began to hurt small businesses like Ragos and Balayans.
Okay na sana. Biglang nagkaroon ng nasunog. And then we look for another business. Napapunta kami sa Pasig. And everything is okay. But there is another bakery there na kakompetition namin. when they saw that we are decorating mga wedding cake, they also open a section of their bakery just like us.
This was one of the strategies used by big businesses in order to stop small businesses from succeeding. They would open one of their branches next to that small business, pricing out the small business. Less and less quote-unquote mom and pop shops began to emerge. Chain restaurants, grocery stores, and bakeries began to find their way into the mainstream.
So all I can say, the business is okay. Kaya lang, another incident happened. Nasunog na naman kami.
You know, I'll be honest, that's not something that I could probably laugh at, but, you know, good for her. Not only was everything getting more expensive, but the economy itself wasn't helping her at all. Even though the 90s saw a bit more success in economic policy, it also saw a lot of hardship, especially during the 1997 Asian financial crisis, where the Philippine stock market plummeted and their peso depreciated.
Close the store. By the time, the children were already graduated, and we stopped the business na. They don't want us to open another business.
Because of this, Adela Balayan had to close down her business, which goes to show you how much the economy affected the small businesses. Some businesses couldn't keep up, but other businesses could, like Ragos, who still owns her business today. She even explained the things that you need to be able to do in order to keep your business afloat through these hard times.
And by finding solutions, it's not easy. You have to plan, you have to think, and you have to do it, to apply. What do you think is the best?
Yeah.
So I know you are a bright boy, you're smart.
Okay, yeah. Okay, that's enough of that. If I want to receive compliments, I would just walk out the door and compliments would just pour in. I'm here to get answers to my questions. We interviewed Lucy Flores, the Vice President of Outsourcing Practice at Point West Technologies Corporations. Point West is a big company, and luckily we were able to catch her before she left to go back into the Philippines and interview her. Meet you and talk about something that I can already tell that this interview was going smoothly. So yeah, luckily for us, we got to interview such an amazing and important person. And unluckily for us, this is where the footage ends, because the file got corrupted and now we can't see the rest of the interview. Paraphrase what we talked about, we talked a lot about technology and how it's changing how the Philippines works. It makes it easier for small business to conduct business. But also big business are benefiting as well because they are able to shape around the use of technology. Companies that are able to really adapt to technology and the change of it are able to be more prosperous than ones that cannot. And that's the answer to our question. Not just adapting to technology, but just adapting in general. The thing that sets apart the failed businesses and the successful businesses is that they're able to adapt. They're able to change with the times. It's just like what Rago said. You have to be able to think and then to act. During martial law, she had to be able to look at the solution and then tackle it and change the way that she thinks in order to make sure that she can overcome that problem. With Point West and technology, they were able to shape their entire company around technology so they can evolve. What sets apart success and failure is the Filipino spirit. The ability to endure through hardship is something that everyone in the Philippines has. You have to persevere. That's the entirety of the point. If you don't, you're going to be left behind in the dust. And that's the answer to my question. The ways that these companies react is that they're able to evolve with the times. Not just as people, not just as a company really, but as a country. Through martial law, economic downturns, and the advent of technology, these people have had to be on the front of every single change. Because if they're not, they're behind the change. I guess I'm learning now that capitalism is just one big game where there are a little bit of winners and a lot of losers. And in order to be a winner, you have to work hard. You have to endure no matter what. And that's the point of this. That's the point of this question. That's the answer. The Filipinos will never give up. They have that burning spirit in them. No matter what happens, they're gonna keep on persevering.
heard you bought some land in